Hey there, Scott Harmon, startatherapypractice.com. This is another Take 3 video. It's official. I've got my clipboard. Clipboards give you automatic just status as a know-it-all. But really, I'm not a know-it-all. I'm just trying to figure out this whole thing just like you. Hopefully, I get to teach you a little bit to avoid the errors. And this says Yankee on here, which is funny because I'm in Arkansas. So I think that's one of my... from OT school, probably. They used to call me Yankee in OT school. So anyway, the Take 3 video series is to give you small chunks of information to propel your private practice in 3 steps, basically. Now, granted, each 3 steps is not all-encompassing. I couldn't do that. But I don't want you to get overwhelmed with information and not take action. This is all about taking action in very small chunks to get you a little bit further down the road. Now, the first 3 points, before we get to 3 points, the first 3 points is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is called Start a Therapy Practice. Subscribe to that. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, I'd love a thumbs up. Just go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also, my podcast, which is called Start a Therapy Practice. Subscribe to that. And if you're watching this on Facebook, or even if you're not watching on Facebook, like my Facebook page, Start a Therapy Practice. And if you are on Facebook right now, I'd love a like and share, hashtag like and share down below. And if you have any comments, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or not, leave those down below. All right, also go by startatherapypractice.com, get all my free stuff, free forms, free tools. I have an ebook over there, how to start and run a therapy practice, and the Academy of Private Practice, which is super cool. All right, enough of that. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. First, I appreciate you watching. So cool that you're watching me. I'm also running a Facebook Live. I got a little camera over here. We're doing a little Facebook Live over here. Another reason to like the Start a Therapy Practice Facebook page. So today we're covering hiring. Here was the impetus of this video. Was I hired an office worker, a bilingual office worker. I was super excited. She was doing great. I took a whole week off basically to train her. So 3 days in, I'm training her at one of my clinics, and she quits. I mean, she was doing so awesome, and I was so excited because I was like, this girl is going to take all this over, and she's doing so good. But she got 3 days in, and she said that she had a personal issue, and she could not continue. Now, whether she actually had a personal issue or maybe she had a personal issue with me. Maybe she didn't like the situation or what she was doing, what I was having her do, a lot of computer work, basically. Maybe she thought it was something else, but I would rather her quit earlier than later. That way I don't have to, I was basically going to let everybody else go and fill her in for the other people. Glad she quit earlier than later. So here we go, how to hire great employees. Let me get to the next page here. I'm just going to take this off of my handy dandy. Did I tell you how to clipboard? Off of my handy dandy clipboard. So first, how does your practice compare to the competition? Why do they want to work for you instead of the practice or even any other business down the street? What's your unique selling position for that employee? So write that down. Start writing that down. You don't have to write it on a clipboard, although clipboards are cool. Write that down, why you are unique, because basically you're selling yourself and your business to this potential hire. If they're a good hire, you want to let them know this is why you want to work for me and for this practice. One thing I did for my private practice is I built a landing page on my practice website. So it's just my website and then /hiring, and that way I can send any potential hires to that landing page. If I want to run a Facebook ad or any other kind of ad, that's where I send them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an office employee. It could be a therapist. And so on that landing page, they get to learn about my private practice and what it's all about. And then it's real personalized for a potential employee. Instead of just sending them to my website, which is geared towards potential clients, I send them to a page on my website that lets them know why they want to come work at my private practice. On that landing page, you can put some testimonials. Just take a short video or just a picture of your current employees. Ask them a few questions. Keep it short. Why they like to work for you and why they like to work at your private practice. What they like about working there. And just put 3, 4, 5, not too many testimonials on that landing page of why it's cool to work for you and for your private practice. All right, number 2. Did I show you these numbers? I got a little bit of a glare, but I think we can read it. Number 2, hire for personality. So I've hired for ability before, and I've hired some therapists who have really good skills, but it's not always a great personality fit. So if you hire for ability and for skills, be sure it's also a good personality fit, because I was in the military at one point, and we all march or perform off morale. If it's not a great place to be, if morale is low, it's not going to be a good situation. So even though you find that therapist or that office worker with some awesome skills, then be sure they're also going to fit in personality-wise in your practice. And there's a few tools for this. So, and I'll put links down below. There's some personality testing websites. One's called Kolbe, Kolbe. One's called Strength Finders. And there's another called Enneagram. And that's spelled Enneagram. So those are 3 personality tests that you can send a potential hire to get them to fill that out and then report back to you to kind of let you know, all right, this person is into these things and this is how they operate, and let you know a little bit more about them. I also ask them questions about their personal life, not real personal, but what they like to do on the weekends and stuff like that. I have some more on that in the Academy of Private Practice, and I'll probably cover some more steps. I mean, we can't cover everything. It's 3 steps, right? So you can also have multiple members of your team, of your private practice, interview that person. This also lets you know if that person is serious. If they're going to come back for more than one interview, they really are interested in working for you. But you can have people come in and basically perform a whole nother interview from a different point of view, because they're not you. It's going to be a different point of view. And ask them a series of questions that person might have. And you could have a team. I've sat in on team interviews where you're kind of getting grilled by a whole team. It's pretty intimidating, isn't it? All right, number 3, assign real-world tasks. Now, you can do this even before you hire somebody. You could say, look, I'm interested in hiring you. Here's a task I want you to do. I'm going to pay you $20. It's probably going to take you 30 minutes to do. I want you to go do this task and just see how they do it. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, it could be show me on paper or in a Word document, instructions on how to get from the courthouse in our city to the private practice. I want you to detail that out. What that's going to do is it's going to let you know how detail oriented they are to the instructions. What are their skills? I mean, you could ask them to create a spreadsheet on something. If they tell you, yeah, I know how to do a spreadsheet. Oh yeah? Well, show me how to do it. I want you to create me a spreadsheet that details this information. You can ask them to do some research on the internet and to put that in a format that is digestible for you. So anything that's really relevant to your private practice, I can't tell you what it is, but it's relevant to your private practice, have them detail that. Have them do a mock phone call if you want them to answer the phone. Say, all right, I'm going to give you a call sometime next week, and or later today, whenever, and we're going to do a mock phone call like I'm a potential customer. And you don't even have to train them to do this. Just see how they do naturally with no training. Because if they do well with no training, just think what a little bit of training is going to do for that task, especially answering the phone. All right, so also in assigning real-world tasks, be sure to check references. If they give a resume with references, check those references, call them, and also do a background check when and if you hire that person. All right, I'm going to go to page 3 here. I've got an asterisk here, but before we get to the asterisk, because it's like a bonus. I mean, here's 3, but that's bonus. Before we get to the asterisk, on number 3, you could send them a formal letter of hiring them. So it's an acceptance letter. That way you and the candidate know exactly the job that they're being hired for. You can detail that out and say, here's what you're getting hired for. Send this back, sign it and date it, and also put an expiration date on that. This offer is good until midnight of this Thursday or whatever. Have them formally mail that back to you. If they're interested, sign it and date it. That way they know exactly. I mean, don't do 10 pages of a contract that they're signing. A single page. Here's what you're going to be doing. If you're interested, send this back. And then if it's a therapist, you can have them fill out more paperwork. I have a formal contract I have my therapist fill out, but a formal letter of acceptance is pretty cool. So now it's your turn. I know you've got some great ideas on hiring people. I'd love for you to put those below, put them on the Facebook page especially. The Start a Therapy Practice Facebook page is a great place for comments. What do you look for when you're hiring? What do you ask? What do you have them do? Also, before we wrap this up, I'd love for you to put a question in the comments section for a future Take 3 video that I could answer. That would be super cool. That way I'm answering real life questions. Also, before we go, subscribe to my podcast, Start a Therapy Practice. You thought I was going to forget and get my free forms and free tools over at startatherapypractice.com. Hopefully I'll have a new Take 3 this time next week. And until then, Godspeed to you and your practice.